Alright. Welcome to the second episode of the Analytics Above Assumptions podcast. I'm Eric, I'll be your host. Let's just get right into it. So, the table of contents we have for today, we have MLB headlines of the past week, explaining a stat, which is going to be fit for this week, and then we have a spotlight player, which will be Zach Wheeler, and then we have things to watch for the coming week. Okay, so let's jump right into it. The first topic we have is MLB headlines. So let's explore the first story, which is the Home Run Derby. So the Home Run Derby is approaching. It's on the 13th, which is a Monday. It's going to be in Philadelphia, and we have four confirmed players, which is Junior Caminero, third baseman for the Rays, Ben Rice, first baseman for the Yankees, Wilson Contreras, first baseman for the Red Sox, and Jack Caglianone, first baseman and outfielder for the Kansas City Royals. So that's 4 out of 8 spots filled. All four are pretty well-known power hitters. Ben Rice has had a surge this year. He was good last year as well, and then he's truly broken out this year. Jack Caglianone was one of the most hyped prospects coming up last year. He hasn't performed up to his expectations, but he's been hitting the ball as hard as anyone, and he absolutely mashes the ball. Junior Caminero, he was in last year's Home Run Derby. He finished second. He went to the finals, but he unfortunately lost to Cal Raleigh. So he'll look to redeem himself. He's been a power hitter. Really good power hitter this year. He's had the home run in, I think, 11 or 12 consecutive games. He hit 45-ish home runs last year, so he definitely has the power to compete. Wilson Contreras, he's been involved in some controversies as of late this year, but he's a good hitter. He hits for power to a decent amount, so it's going to be exciting to see what he can do. So there's still 4 spots left. If I had to pick who I want to see compete in the Home Run Derby, realistically, because Yordan Alvarez, he said he isn't going to do it. So realistically, who do I think is going to compete and who do I want to compete? Think first off, we need to have Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper in there. They're two of the best hitters in Philadelphia, and the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby is going to be in Philadelphia, which definitely is going to be a big storyline if they do compete. They're both All-Stars, I believe. Yes. Harper was a legend pick, and Kyle Schwarber is a reserve for the National League. But both are power hitters, prolific power hitters. Schwarber leads the league in home runs with 31, I believe, and Harper has 2 MVPs under his belt, was once chosen as the chosen one by magazines and people. And Harper also actually has experience. He won the Home Run Derby once, so this isn't new for him. Hopefully, he'll compete in Philly. And how fun would it be to see Schwarber and Bryce Harper in the finals of the Home Run Derby competing against each other in Philadelphia? That would be amazing. Another player I want to see compete is Hunter Goodman. So last year we had a catcher compete, Cal Raleigh. He won it, and Hunter Goodman has, in a way, been the Cal Raleigh of this year in the sense that he's hitting a lot of home runs and he's a catcher. There's also Shea Langoliers, who's also been great this year, but uh, Hunter Goodman, I think he deserves more attention at least because he's been really great. He has nearly 30 home runs under his belt, and it's been a bit over halfway through the season. So Goodman's clearly a great power hitter, and if you're gonna talk about the Coors effect, Goodman has actually been worse at Coors Field than he has been on the road. So he is a legitimate power threat, and it will be a treat to see him compete in the Home Run Derby. And then the last guy I want to see in the Home Run Derby is another first baseman. It's Nick Kurtz. And Nick Kurtz, since coming up last year, he's just been tearing up the league. Um, we know he has the power. He's a big guy. His on base percentage has been unbelievable this year. So Nick Kurtz is clearly a very, very capable hitter and a very, very powerful hitter. And seeing him competing against other first basemen like Ben Rice, Bryce Harper, Wilson Contreras, it would be amazing to see him compete in the home run derby. Okay, so let's move on to the next story. We have a few team storylines heading into and past the All-Star break. So I want to talk about the San Diego Padres. They have been really, really bad. It's it's honestly embarrassing to watch them. It's not fun. They went on an 8-game losing streak before they managed to win a game somehow. They nearly got swept by the Dodgers. It's just been horrible. They lost 23-3 against the Cubs. Uh, I think the problem is clear. It's the pitching. Their starting pitching has not been good. Neither has their bullpen, honestly. Morahone gave up that grand slam after Michael King was doing great, but their starting pitching is certainly a concern for the Padres. What can they do? Probably trade for someone, but at this point in the season, it's unclear still if they'll be buyers or sellers, which also raises more questions about their future. But another problem on top of the main problem of pitching recently has just been the same storyline. The offense is not that good. Their star players are not performing at all. Tatis Jr., admittedly, he has been showing signs of life and he is still valuable. Manny Machado has been showing signs of life, but Bogarts is as disappointing as ever. And Jackson Merrill might be the worst of them all. As a young player, we know that a thing called the sophomore slump usually happens when the league adapts to a player. And usually, the young player who is in a sophomore slump, usually they adjust back to being good due to just their raw talent and the ability to adapt. However, Merrill, he hasn't done any of that. The pitchers exploited his weakness, and he has been just horrible. He swings at breaking balls way low below the zone. He swings at fastballs way above the zone. He can't even hit fastballs in the middle of the zone. So he's definitely a concern. We need Jackson Merrill right now, but just hasn't been delivering. Um, we do have some role players just playing their role and honestly outperforming. Gavin Sheets, he's been great ever since he joined the Padres. Ty France, Samad Taylor, who saved the Padres season. Um, all these players have stepped up, but the star players haven't, and that's what's causing the Padres to struggle so far. They have a record under 500, which is honestly embarrassing. Another topic I want to go to is the American League. The American League is extremely weak this year, as many of you know. And the American League is the Yankees to lose. I mean, it's like it's theirs to lose because the Yankees are really the only legitimate team in the American League. The Tampa Bay Rays are legitimate, I will say, but in a different way to the Yankees because the Yankees, their roster construction is so much more prolific than the Rays, I guess I'd say. Um, and the Rays don't get me wrong, they're good, but they don't have the same reputation or playoff certainty, near certainty that the Yankees have, and certainly not the run differential. Um, and then the Blue Jays, they struggled out the gate. The Orioles as well. The Red Sox have been horrible. In the Central, it's the Guardians and then the White Sox, really. Um, the Twins are not super good. They're not super legit. Neither are the Royals, and neither are the Tigers, who will likely trade away Tarek Skubal. And then in the West, the Mariners are probably going to win the division, but the Athletics have been better than some expected. The Astros, not that good, and so on, so on. The AL is very weak right now, so the Yankees have to capitalize. However, they haven't been capitalizing recently. They've been horrible recently. And what's up? It's really their offense. And even Aaron Judge, who's usually very stoic and quiet, he had to call them out. He's on the injured list right now, but he called the Yankees out for a lack of focus, which is really surprising, but just goes to show the extent of the Yankees' troubles right now, because it's gotten really bad and it's concerning. But I do believe the Yankees are still the AL's best team. And then a quick note on the Dodgers, they're steamrolling their way through the league. Uh, Nothing else to say. They're really just the World Series favorite. But what's got to happen is the league has got to do something about it. So a lockout's likely going to happen in 2027, which sucks, but it is what it is. And another question that I want to ask myself and everyone else is, which team has the most pressure heading into the second half? In my personal opinion, I think it's the San Diego Padres. Um, their play, like how they play from the All Star, from now to the trade deadline, will directly determine whether they are buyers or sellers. Knowing AJ Preller, most likely, rather than not, he will buy just because of his nature. But if the Padres perform like they did in that horrible 8 game losing streak, they might have to become sellers. The farm system isn't that good, so Padres might sell. But in my eyes, in my opinion, if I were AJ Preller, unless the Padres like fall way out of playoff contention, if they have a chance, I am 100% going all in and buying 1000%. Because if you don't buy, or you buy small, or you just stand still and do nothing, your farm system isn't good enough to rebuild around necessarily. We know that 2026 is basically World Series or bust, or win it all or go home, just because of their agent core and pending free agents, all of that, and then the CBA negotiations. 2026 is basically it for the Padres, and unless they want to sell everyone and build up a big farm system, they have to buy and go all in, because their farm system consists of Ethan Salas, Cruz Schoolcraft, Cash Mayfield, Miguel Mendez, and some other guys, all of which are great, but they aren't good enough pieces to rebuild around. And just standing still, doing nothing with an agent core and pending free agents and a frankly mediocre farm system isn't going to do anything but send the Padres into baseball purgatory. So, what would I do if I were AJ Preller? I would blow up the farm system. I would buy big, get Scooble maybe, get some other big names, and just go for it all this year, World Series or bust, and see what happens after them. Because either way, we're likely going into a rebuild soon, very soon. Okay, so the third story I want to talk about is the MLB draft. So that's coming up this All Star week, and the big name, three big names I want to talk about. Rock Chalowski is the first one. Rock Chalowski of UCLA. He's a shortstop, and he's been the heavy favorite to go #1 overall for some time now, for over or nearly a year. But very recently, a high schooler, Grady Emerson, overtook Rock as the projected #1 overall pick, which is shocking to me. He's also a shortstop, and he's great, but I actually think neither of those players will be the #1 pick. So the White Sox are going #1, but they don't have an organizational need for a shortstop. So who do I think they're going to go for? I think they're going to go for a catcher, Von Lackey. He's projected to be #3 overall, but I think he's going to go #1 overall. He's from Georgia Tech, and I think he's a perfect fit for the White Sox. The White Sox have Colson Montgomery at shortstop right now. They don't really have a need at shortstop nor the infield. They have Miguel Vargas there as well. And in the farm system, they have Caleb Baumner and Billy Carlson, both of which are shortstops. So they don't have a need for shortstop at all. Honestly, they won't have that much space for the other guys if they draft Rock or Grady, which I don't think they necessarily want. However, on the catching side, they don't have any major catching prospects in their farm system, and Kyle Teal has struggled. So I think Von Lackey, a catcher out of Georgia Tech, he's perfect. I mean, he has just had an unbelievably amazing year at Georgia Tech, and his talent and upside are undeniable. They're rivaling Rock Chalowski's and Grady Emerson. So I think Von Lackey is honestly, I think he's almost guaranteed to be the number one overall pick unless the White Sox decide to just go with another shortstop, even though they have way too many shortstops. I just don't see that happening. Okay, but okay, so let's move on to the next topic or segment. I'm going to teach you guys about FIP. But before I do that, I want to shout out um, PitchCoachAI. So PitchCoachAI is a website that was actually founded by a friend of mine, and it's out now. So you should definitely go check it out. But PitchCoachAI is a helpful tool you can use to help improve your public speaking. And all you need to do is record yourself speaking, and it'll automatically give you personalized feedback on how to improve. And I actually used it to prepare for this podcast, and it helped me so much. It's completely free, but there is an option to upgrade to Pro. So if I were you, I would definitely go to pitchcoachai.com and secure yourself a spot right now. Because the first 100 members will get 50% off of Pro if you choose to get it. So if you're watching right now, go to the link in the description. It's pitchcoachai.com if you don't want to click the link. Pitchcoachai.com. Sign up right now. It's super helpful. It was founded by a friend of mine. So it's just go check it out. It's amazing. Okay, let's move on to FIP. So what is FIP? FIP is a pitching stat, and FIP stands for Fielding Independent Pitching. And basically, FIP is ERA, except it ignores fielding completely. So it calculates using stats directly controllable by the pitcher, such as homers, walks, strikeouts, hit by pitches, etc. And it is also adjusted to look like ERA. And it's very useful for removing the luck factor from stats, because many stats such as ERA, they do involve luck, involving the defense or unlucky hops, but this only accounts for what a pitcher can control. And similar to xwOBA that I talked about last week, it's really good to see how good a pitcher truly is. And it's a good predictive stat to see how a pitcher will be in the future. Will they keep this up? Is this really just a good stretch and a fluke? Or is this a slump? Are they good? Are they better than expected? Are they better than they show now? It's really good for predictive and removing the luck factor. And I think it's one of my favorite pitching stats, one of my go-to pitching stats. I still do use ERA a ton and WHIP and WAR and etc. But FIP is still very, very critical to seeing how good truly good a pitcher is. How good a pitcher truly is. Okay, so that actually leads me into my next stat involving luck. Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens, he entered the 2026 season as the heavy favorite to take home the NL Cy Young Award. He won the Cy Young Award in 2025, won the Rookie of the Year in 2024, and finished third in Cy Young voting that year. So Skeens has undoubtedly, at least entering 2026, he was a top two pitcher, at least in baseball. But in 2026, Skeens has struggled. He's having the worst season of his life, and he's pitching to an ERA well over 3.5, which is very unlike him. So has Skeens actually regressed, or does his ERA not show the full story? You can find out in my newest article. If you're on YouTube, you can find it on my Substack. Link will be in the description, or just search up analytics above assumptions on Substack. And if you're watching on Substack, you're already there. You can just go to my page. Okay. So I want to focus on one player, a spotlight on one player, and that's Zach Wheeler. He's one of the most underappreciated and one of the best pitchers of our generation, and I don't think many people know it. He was recently snubbed from an All-Star spot this year. Reportedly, he said that because he wouldn't be eligible to pitch in the All-Star game due to his pitching schedule, he was not invited at all. which is honestly complete BS because Paul Skeens and Jacob Mizrowski, those guys were invited and they got removed because they couldn't pitch due to their schedules. So it's honestly embarrassing how MLB can snub someone like this. This year he has a 4.3 WAR. 4.3 WAR. He's on pace for nearly 8 WAR this season. He's 9-1 with a 2.28 ERA. 2.28 ERA in 14 games. That is unbelievable. And he is not an All-Star somehow. And honestly, Zach Wheeler having no Cy Youngs, I don't think he necessarily got snubbed from any Cy Youngs, but he's been one of the most quietly great pitchers of our generation. Since 2021, he has finished second in Cy Young twice. Once in 2021 when he lost out to Corbin Burns, once in 2024 when he lost out to Chris Sale. So he's undoubtedly been very, very underrated, and it's shocking to see how people can still underappreciate a guy like this who's been so good for so long, and he's still good entering his late 30s. So he's going to retire in 2020 after the 2027 season, which is a shame. He'll likely retire without a signing award, but it's still been a pleasure to watch him, and it's tragic that he couldn't get into the All-Star team, which is why I think that All-Stars don't matter as much as some people think. I really think it's not that important because in the end it's voted by the fans who ultimately don't always make the best or the right picks, and even with the MLB voting on reserves, it's just it isn't very accurate at all. Okay, so wrapping this episode up, shorter than usual, but it's fine. So a few things to watch for next week. Main thing, the All Star break. The All Star breaks can include the All Star game, which will be on Tuesday, the Home Run Derby, which will be on Monday, the MLB Draft, the Red Carpet Show, lots of activities. If you're in Philly, I'm going to Philly. I'm actually traveling to Philly during that All Star week, so I'll be there. I won't be at the game or the Derby, but I will be there in Philly. But if you're in Philly, there's tons of stuff to check out regarding All Star Week, so definitely, if you're in Philly, check it out. If you're not, you can still watch it. All the events are going to be amazing. Lots of gimmicky events as well, like the celebrity softball game, I think. Um, so lots of stuff to do. There's lots of stuff to watch, even though official MLB regular season play is paused. And then after the All Star break, the Dodgers will head to New York, and they will face off against the Yankees. That'll be a marquee, big matchup. So make sure that's going to be interesting. So make sure to go watch that when that happens. Okay, so yeah, so that's about it for today's episode. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. If you haven't already, go to my Substack, subscribe to my Substack, read the articles I post, weekly podcasts and articles. So this podcast episode, it was delayed a bit, so it'll be released on a Wednesday, but the schedule will remain every Sunday, a new podcast and a new article. So unless changes come, that'll be what it is. So make sure to subscribe. Make sure to keep watching my future podcast. Keep reading my articles and my future articles, and I will catch you on Sunday very soon.